station has conducted 97 tests, including requests for water, coffee, beer, and soda, non-consumable liquids such as sulfuric acid, wiper fluid, and substances that do not usually exist in liquid state, such as nitrogen, iron, and glass, and each one returned a success. It is also interesting to note that many caustic liquids that would have corroded a normal paper cup seem to have no effect on the cups dispensed by the machine. However, test runs with solid materials such as diamond have failed. This shows that SCP-294 can only deliver substances that can exist in liquid state. It is of note that after approximately 50 uses, the machine would not respond to further requests. After a period of approximately 90 minutes, the machine seemed to have restocked itself. 294 was originally placed in the Foundation's personnel break room because it is almost harmless to human beings and it's also a money-saving venture. However, after the 294-01 accident, two guards of security
Christ, oh my God.
were arranged to guard 294 at all times. Since then, anyone who wants to get contact with it needs to obtain security permission first.
I don't know if
So,
I want
what
to
happened
finish
during
him
the
right now or not.
294-01 incident? The incident happened on August 21st, 2005. Agent Joseph attempted to use 294 to obtain coffee during his allotted
I finished this boy because I'm bored.
At the request of another agent to see what it would do, Agent Joseph requested for a cup of Joe from 294. Moments after confirming the selection, Agent Joseph began to sweat profusely and complained of dizziness before collapsing. After moving the unconscious agent to the infirmary, the medical team recovered the contents of the cup dispensed by SCP-294. They found a combination of blood, tissue, and other bodily fluids in the liquid. 294 matched that of Agent Joseph. Luckily, Agent Joseph made a complete recovery after 4 weeks of rest and intravenous hydration. X-rays and CAT scans showed no further signs of injury, and he was released. After reviewing documentation on 294, the Foundation's capacity formulated into these compounds composed of undisclosed ratios of Coca-Cola, SRX powder, and garam masala. The fluid was created and placed in a sealed container 25 meters away from the initial. When the request for this liquid was made, an equal amount of fluid that had existed in the sealed container had disappeared without any reason. In another test, it has now been confirmed that 294 has the ability to directly gather information from someone's mind in order to comply with a given condition. Under observation of Level 4 personnel, an agent Eden request of the best drink I've ever had. 294 delivered a dark fluid topped with white foam, which was later identified as Vienna Lager. The cup was printed with a coloring of beer on the beach, and the agent who requested for this drink was one of them. In his briefing, he confirmed that his favorite drink ever was a Vienna Lager he consumed at the beach with his friends. According to another test, 294 was proved to be able to produce abstract concepts or sentences, and it also could make the subject feel experience. Researchers began requests for a cup of musical SCP-294 produced a clear, sparkling fluid that tasted vaguely alcoholic. Following ingestion, subject reported feeling and not hearing a continuous rhythm and demonstrated the ability to move and even dance with a certain fluidity that he had not previously shown. In one of the other tests, a professor requested one life story from 294. 294 began to shake violently, like a tornado, and made humming noises violently for approximately 3 minutes, before providing a highly viscous, opaque black liquid. Upon consumption, the professor reported that he remembered everything that had ever happened to him. Following this test, the professor entered his office and returned 48 hours later with a 538-page autobiography. According to an addendum, a D-class personnel with an IQ of 99 and low curiosity scores was given written instructions about what to request. The D-class personnel produced a request for blood of Canis lupus and received a cup of liquid subsequently identified as wolf blood. The D-class personnel next produced a request for saliva of Equus ferus caballus and received a cup of liquid subsequently identified as horse saliva. The D-class personnel next produced a request for urine of Phascolarctus cineris and received a cup of liquid subsequently identified as koala urine. The DPS
Ew.
personnel next produced a request for cerebrospinal If an obstacle is between 093 and the nearest mirror-like surface, it will use this momentum to punch through the obstacle and continue on its course at this speed. When a mirror-like surface is contacted, despite tremendous impact velocities, no damage will be dealt to 093 or the mirror. A test procedure was initiated to establish why mirrors tilted on his head. He was also loaded with technical equipment that would facilitate mission exploration, such as wrist-mounted light source, field kit bag, standard issue Beretta 9mm firearm loaded with 24 rounds of ammunition, and recording equipment. He entered the provided mirror while holding SCP, which emitted a blue color. Outside technicians observed that the mirror retained a true reflection until the subject had completely passed into it, at which time the view changed to an outdoor landscape heavily tinged in blue. The camera activates, flickers to view. The scene was composed of an open field with strong blue tones, similar to the entrance object. As a reference, the blue tones were absorbing most of the lightness in the picture. Despite this, subject indicates that the landscape shows no difference to that of a normal state. No discernible landmarks visible as subject pans view left to right. Only grass, weeds, and a breeze moving the taller grass. No trees, no living beings were visible. Subject moves forward as instructed, traveling for approximately 500 steps before something becomes visible. A patch of the land up ahead is barren, and grass can be seen dying as the subject approaches it. Approximately 300 steps forward, subject was standing before a hole in the ground. Such a hole shows signs of man architecture, but with unknown tools. It seems that it was not made by forces of nature. Subject was instructed to enter the hole. Despite protests from the subject, he agreed to use a pulley system, and the camera suffers a light shudder. About 100 meters of cable was used before reaching the bottom. The light source provided in build kit activated 50 meters down, when outside sources became unreliable. Sweeping gestures of the light reveal nothing more than dirt, even at the bottom of the hole. The control station commented about the ongoing blue tinge in the recordings, but subject clarifies that it must be the connectivity problem. Subject prepared his firearm for personal safety and moved forward with the assistance of the light source. The tunnel turned from bare dirt to a concrete enclosure. Subject complains of a stench. The light source was revealed to be ceiling was bright in the room. The portable light was switched off at this time as the subject pans the camera to inspect the room. The room was empty. The only remarkable thing was the dirty walls. According to the subject, the material on the walls looked similar to a melted plastic that was brown in color rather than black. The next door has no handle, does not move when pushed. None of the doors can show internal elements through the spy holes. The door next to the entrance has a keyhole with the key still on it, but the back of the key was missing. With effort, the subject manipulates the key to make it to open the door and immediately began coughing, complaining of a stench. Maybe it was because of the natural air condensed in such an abandoned place. This stench made the subject feel sick. With control, asked if he could continue. The subject agreed and described the odor as sulfur. The walls of the last room were as bright as the floor. The ceiling resembles the brown molten plastic-like material in the room. There was what it seemed to be some makeshift cot made from eggs weighted with a pillow. Wooden crates containing open boxes of what appeared to have been foodstuffs, and a second crate containing what appears to be empty water bottles that have dried out. It has been proved that the cave has a human origin. One of the boxes with the word cereal confirmed the theory. A book lay next to the cot, closed, no title or identifying marks. Walls were covered by old clipped articles. Compared to the others. Smooth, featureless face. The communication was cut off, and the pulley system continued to pull in. Once the rope was fully retracted by control station, there was no trace of the subject. The only thing recovered was the field kit bag containing the newspaper article 093. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Which SCP do you want to see in the next video, and why it is interesting? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your friends if you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Viewer discretion is advised. Several shots were fired at the creature's face. When the creature's face fell on him and the camera was pushed to the ground, his screams were obscene. Hello everybody, I'm the Rubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-093 Part 2. SCP-093 is a red disc carved from cinnabar with symbols on it. It will change hue when held by a living individual. A series of testing on human interaction with mirrors while holding 093 have been authorized. To know more about 093 and its first mirror test, click here to watch part. Testing. Mirror Test 2. Color, green. Test subject D54493 was a 23-year-old female who had at which time the view changed to a farming landscape heavily tinged in green. The camera was on. The subject looked up, and in front of her was a farmland. The field had been long abandoned, with the remains of a rotten scarecrow placed in the middle. On the right was a two-story farmhouse, with a basement shelter entrance at one end. The subject then headed over and investigated the perimeter of the farmhouse. There, she found two children's bicycles leaning on the house door. As the subject entered the cellar, on the stairs were boys' clothes, arranged in descending order, shoes to shirt. The subject started screaming at the control center and asked if this was some sort of sick joke. Complained of a stench. The subject then opened and entered the hatch. Below on the beds were two skeletons, and on the floor was a third, lying next to a sixth.
Which ones are probiotics? Yakult contains a probiotic strain, Lactobacillus casei shirota.
The subject retrieved and placed the book into a field kit container upon request. She was also told to keep the old clipped articles that were on a desk into the field kit container. The subject was told to leave the bunker. When the subject grabbed the ladder and was ready to leave,